All right, my lovelies, and welcome back to the Love Naturally experience. Now, in today's video, I am going to be delivering to you some spiritual lessons that are key on rejection. You will want to get something to write with. You will want to get also some paper because we are going to be taking some notes, and there will be a homework assignment at the end of this lesson. Yes, there will. So we are going to be looking at rejection, all right? Rejection as a whole, because a lot of times we are going through lives and we're going through life, and when we try to apply ourselves in whatever our dreams are or whatever our goal or aspiration may be, adversity will appear. The higher you try to climb, the more adversity that will show up. But it's often just a test. So we're going to look at what rejection feels like, how rejection affects the psyche, what emotions are produced once rejection does occur. And finally, we're going to take it home and see the spiritual connection that is related to rejection itself, okay? The purpose of this lesson, and we will make it as quick as we can, is to help you leave with a better understanding of knowing how to manage your emotional quotient, to develop your emotional intelligence, and to be able to master yourself and your reactions. This way you'll be more successful in all of your endeavors in life. So what are you going to need for class today? Real simple. As I stated a little bit before, you will want to get something to write with, but more specifically, dedicate a notebook because we will be doing a few lessons over time. If there's anything that you'd like to learn about specifically, by all means, reach out and send me a message. You can reach out to me on IG, or you can reach out to me at www.lovenaturally.com and go to contact me and send me a message there. But I want you to get a notebook that you will dedicate to your spiritual development as a whole. You can use this notebook for the shadow work assignments or the shadow work homework assignments I will be giving, and also for your day-to-day journaling, your day-to-day monitoring of synchronicities and all of those fun magical things that happen in life. So we will take about 30 minutes, and I'd love for you to carve that time out because I don't want you to have any interruptions. I do have some gems for you if rejection is something that you've always struggled with. And like I said, you're going to want something to write with because we will, in this lesson, go through some really cool activities. So rejection as a whole is the act of being turned away, refused, or thrown back from something that you really wanted, something that you really desired, something that you wanted to achieve, or something that you wanted to experience. Now, rejection is something that we all go through in different facets, whether it's rejection from a person. That seems to be the most common, especially when we're younger, going through grade school. It could be rejection through a job. It can be a rejection to a program that you're trying to apply to get into, rejection for a loan, for a business partnership. There's 1,001 things that we can be rejected for, but we need to start to look at what is rejection like. We have to conquer the beast. We have to name our demons so that way we can gain power over it. Now, rejection is associated with the element of fire because it is an action. Rejection itself is the act of doing something, the act of turning something away, or the act of unwillingly engaging with an activity, person, or thing. Now, rejection is a response that you get from when you have that action applied towards you. So Rejection will be what you hear, what you feel, but there will be a response that you will give back to rejection, and this will be the feelings that we'll talk about next. But going into this, I want you to understand that rejection is redirection, straight up. When you are not able to proceed to something that you really want, whether, let's talk magic, if you're doing a love spell and you're waiting for those results to come into fruition and they're just not blossoming, they're just not blooming, this could be another way that spirit is trying to realign you to your true path. Maybe you think you're pledging for a sorority or for a fraternity and you really want to join this group, this social club, and you are unable to succeed in pledge week or however it goes. I'm not affiliated with any sororities, but this is again something that may be trying to redirect you towards your true path. And overall, rejection is a form of spiritual protection. It is how we remain safe against things that are not on our path and not for us. But how does rejection influence your feelings? How, when you are faced with rejection, can you begin to master the reaction to the act of rejection? Well, we know that rejection is the element of fire because it is the action of what occurred. But in reaction to that action, you will produce a feeling inside. And we're literally breaking down the stages of the human emotional development when it comes to something we all face, again, rejection. Now, the feelings that we produce occurs on the inside of the body. Your feelings are different from emotions. Emotions are the external expression of what is going on inside of you. So think the movie Inside Out. While I've never seen the movie personally, it is on my list to watch. I'm a little slow sometimes getting around to doing things, but that's just the Pisces in me. Nonetheless, I do have enough knowledge to know that the characters that were going on inside of the young girl's head were the feelings and the expressions that the little girl was having in the movie were the emotions. That was her energy in motion. So feelings is related actually to the element of water, because that's what flows throughout your body. It's flowing through your heart. It's flowing through you. And the feeling that for most of us is usually, immediately ignited once we've been faced with rejection is embarrassment. I don't know about you, but anytime I've been rejected, I've immediately felt embarrassed. And like, for what reason? It's like, oh shit, like I feel so shy right now, but why? And for some, it may also lead to anger or sadness. It could produce a response that makes you extremely frustrated and extremely upset. And these are common emotions, or common feelings that go on inside of us, which will trigger the emotion that we will talk about very soon that occurs on the outside of the body. Now, the psyche plays a very important part as well when it comes to rejection, because the psyche is the mental. Your psyche is going to be the part of the body that's most connected to the human soul. That's that subconscious mind. That's almost it's kind of like your spirit, your soul, and your higher self all in one. But your psyche is what reveals to you, often in dreams, but often when you do therapy, such as shadow work, you can start to see what the psyche is hiding. Why, when you're rejected, you feel anger? Why, when you're rejected, you feel sad? Why, when you're rejected, you feel things related to your self-worth, your personal value? And rejection triggers your personal view of your self-worth. Rejection, if you have a high self-worth or a high understanding of your personal self-worth, you get rejected from something, it may be a lot easier for you to bounce back. Hey, you know what? That wasn't for me because I know that it's their loss. But on the other hand, when you are not fully established in knowledge of self, when you're not fully established in the big fat who I am, and you don't have that understanding of your self-worth, let me tell you, rejection will pull you down to the ground. And rejection in the form of the psyche is related to the element of air. Your mind, your wit, that's very Mercurian energy that is related to air. So let's stop and think about a few things for a moment. I want you right now, after we go through this question or two questions here, I want you to pause this video and actually complete a response in your notebook or whatever you're using to record your responses and your notes for this lesson. And the first question that I want you to think about is, what feelings do you personally associate with rejection? Maybe you don't associate anger. Maybe you don't associate sadness, but what feelings do you personally associate with it? And then I want you to think about, when was the last time that you were faced with some form of rejection? And it could be anything at all, no matter how big or how small. But when was the last time you were rejected from something or someone? And how did you react to it? What was your reaction and your response? What was your behavior like? Okay. So once you complete question 1, I want you to then take a look at question number 2. And we are going to look at, how do you typically react to rejection? So question 1, we're going to look at, how did you respond or react to the last time you were rejected? But this time, I want you to really reflect, like, dang, how do I actually behave every time I'm told no or rejected from something? Because no is a big part of rejection. And then I want you to tell me, does reacting this way make you feel empowered? Or do you find that the way that you've been reacting to rejection makes you feel weakened? It robs you of your power. It's robbing you of your fullness. Okay? So again, pause here, and I want you to consider those two questions, and we'll move forward. All right. So now let's take a look at your energy in motion, the emotions, okay? Now this is the external part that I was speaking of before. Emotions are driven by what has just occurred on the inside of you. Your emotions are literally your energy in motion. And here is a little bit of a witchy tip for those of you magical practitioners out there, or those of you who like to take control of your manifestations. Using your emotional energy is the fastest way to produce whatever your desired manifestation is. And you can do all the candle burning you want, all the writing and all the chanting and all the whatever it is that you're into doing. It will not come through nearly as quick as just using your emotions. Personally, I've manifested far more without the use of any candles and just my mind than when I've used a candle and did not have my heart or my energy behind it or in it. All right. So your rejection, or relating this back to rejection, your feeling of rejection a lot of times will produce the emotional display of depression. You may start to feel sad, and this goes back to your self-worth, what's hidden in your psyche, what may have happened in your childhood that let you know that you don't deserve this, you're not worth this, or you have to work really hard for this. Or maybe you had an upbringing that allowed you to have things come with great ease to you, so you're not used to being rejected. So everyone has a different experience. However, oftentimes, not always, depression does come up as one of the more common ways that we have an emotional response once we've been rejected. Now, I mentioned before anger, but being angry can also be applied here as well. The emotional element, or the element that's related to your emotions more so, is earth. Why? Because this is what you're actually doing. This is what you're bringing from the inside of you into the physical. All of that energy and motion is now being displayed. We can see that you're upset. We can see that you're sad. We can see that you're depressed. And that is the physical part of the transition for your emotions. So that is why we relate that to the earth element. And that's also why using your emotions brings forth your manifestation so quickly, because that energy brings things into tangible existence. As above, so below. As within, so without. So ultimately, when it comes to mastering rejection on a spiritual plateau, because all of this relates to spirituality, believe it or not, you have to understand that your spirit is literally protecting you from shit, bullshit people, bullshit opportunities, and bullshit ass places that you're not supposed to be in when even you cannot see it. This is your personal divine guardian, rejection. And I want you to leave this lesson starting to look at rejection in that way. Because if you start to see rejection as a spiritual protector, you will welcome the opportunity to be not rejected so much. We don't want a bunch of rejection now, but to be redirected and re-guided. It's like saying, oh, no. Like when a baby is walking and you see them going into the kitchen, you got a bunch of hot stuff in the kitchen. You say, oh, no. Come out there. Come back this way. You're just redirecting. The baby doesn't know that there are dangers in there. So your spirit is your guardian always. And it is related to the element of ether. And ether is the fifth element. It is the breath that is in man, the prana, and it is what gives you life, force, energy. So respect when rejection comes up, because again, that is your spiritual redirection. So I think we did pretty good. I think we came in far under that 30-minute window, but with your shadow work homework assignment here, it may take you to that full 30, and I'd love for you to start to work on that right now. Now, for this homework assignment, you do not need to turn it in. I repeat, you do not need to turn it in. There will be some homework assignments that I will want to collect, but feel free to share your responses with me. You can send me an email at iamlovenaturally@gmail.com. Again, that's iamlovenaturally@gmail.com. And that is naturally spelled with 2 E's instead of the traditional way. All right. So homework assignment, I want you to take some time for reflection. Try to block out some personal space to do this. Lock the door or lock yourself in the bathroom for a little bit if you can, right? But think of a time when you were rejected for something that you really, 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 really wanted. Like you wanted that so bad. And it can be a person, it can be a place, it could be a thing, club that you may have wanted to go into, or a restaurant that you tried to get into, but you didn't have the proper attire. Or it can be just a thing, like you tried to get on a waiting list for a new watch that gets released and you were rejected from that waiting list. I know, for example, but you get the point. So how well did you handle the rejection? So this is similar to our question earlier, but we're going to dig and dive a bit deeper. How, right now, in learning all that you've just learned, would you handle that rejection today? Which feelings, when you think and reflect on this story, are coming up inside of you? What do you feel? What's getting conjured up about rejection? Because this is going to help you to unfold the root of what rejection, or what emotion and feeling rejection produces inside of you. So if your story that you're thinking of makes you feel shameful, then we need to figure out, why do you associate shame with that scenario? And do you associate shame with every time you have a similar scenario happen, even today? Because remember, you don't need to be ashamed. It's just spiritual protection. But we're not going to stop here. Oh, no. We are going to retell the story. Now, this is putting a magical spin on things. By retelling a traumatic story, you are reframing the constructs of your subconscious mind. And you are almost doing a soft core form of hypnosis. If you retell the story with you as the victor, how do you now feel? I want you to write out that moment, write out that scenario, write out that rejection story. But you're going to tell a little bit of a tall tale. You're going to write this scenario out as if you walked away triumphant, not in a rude, combative way, because that's small energy, and we're not working with no small energy over here. How did you rise above? How did you maintain your dignity, your honor, your self-respect? And how did you walk away with unconditional self-love? That is what the purpose of this homework assignment is. Okay? So believe it or not, if you've made it this far, you have completed successfully your first course with Love Naturally. And I hope to see you in the future for so many more. But until then, Love Naturally out.